Thanks for joining us for Political Talk on another PolitiPod Live. I'm Tom Bickle.
Madness enough.
We're here to discuss current political events. Tonight we'll cover the shutdown, shut up, JD Vance talking about his current wife, SCOTUS, South Park's view on pop culture, some fella named Trump, just creeps. We'll also have our international news and fascism creeps. But we'll start with, take it away, Matt.
Oh, let's give it a shot here. Let's do the top story for us, which is the shutdown, shut up, which would mean they're closing up the shutdown, apparently. It's not quite done yet, and in fact, there's a first vote that took place saying that we want to do this, which required, it was a cloture sort of vote, so they needed 60 people, and some of the Democrats, there were 8 Democrats who crossed the aisle to join the Republicans for that vote. Now, there's going to be a series of other votes, about 3 more, before the shutdown can be actually ended. So there's a vote on the question, and then there's another cloture vote, and then there's the final vote. And they're all supposed to
Gripping.
happen. Hmm?
I said gripping. I'm being
Yeah,
sarcastic.
right,
I have nothing
right,
else.
exactly. You just didn't watch Schoolhouse Rock as a kid. You should
Not
think of
enough,
that poor
apparently.
little piece of law.
Right around the third cloture vote, yeah, they lost me at Schoolhouse Rock. I'm sorry.
Um, no problem at all. And so the point being that there's a sort of a clock and some timing combined with all these votes. So the first one happens, then they need 30 hours before they can do the next vote, blah, 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 blah. So it's coming, but it's not here yet. And there's a chance, there's a lot of talk about people being able to call a couple of the senators and see if they can flip them on their vote for the final vote. So even of that group of 8, there's been talk about maybe Tim Kaine would flip his vote, maybe one of the Nevada folks will flip their vote. Um, it would be a it'd be a big deal if that happened, because commonly when senators, after they go public about something, they tend to stick with their what they say in public. They don't tend to then vote the other way last
Mm.
minute. Everybody loves the idea, and not that it's impossible, but it does not happen. It does not happen. Certainly does not happen commonly. Anyway, so um, part of the whole drama is the multiverse of views that how did this actually happen? Because there are some who are saying, well, this was actually Dick Durbin from Illinois. He's the whip, the Democrats' whip, and he's the one who got the group of rebels together who wanted to get the reopening to happen. Seems a little strange to me that somebody who's not the leader would have so much influence after being a whip whose pure job, whose job is purely to follow the leader's lead. But that's out there that people are saying it. Another thing people are saying is that Schumer, even though he voted against the reopening, was the guy who sort of organized everything, and that's why those 8 senators are all the senators with the furthest away elections. That this is a sleight of hand by the leader who is getting the people who will be farthest away electorally, so that they won't pay as big a price, or if any price, by the time their elections come around. People will forget what happened. There's another one that's a deal that was made for an empty promise of a vote later on the ACA subsidies. That's not a rumor. That's actually true. That was the whole thing of it. Was that they would get a vote on ACA subsidies later if they reopen the government now. And so, oh, and there's one other, which is it was really led by the 2 Nevada senators and the independent senator from Maine. Um, and this they were really the ones who planned it all out, and that's because the reopening bill would also have 3 years of military construction and veterans affair money, money for the Department of Agriculture, money for the legislative branch, with a ban on pay raises, but would add $203.5 million for security funding, whatever that means, and getting people rehired. So that's a bunch of stuff that has been talked about. What do you think about this whole thing? Exactly. Yes, my thought
Right.
exactly.
Joking on it. I mean, I don't see how it gets done without Schumer's blessing, or at least tacit blessing. Uh, you can't be the minority leader and just watch things go by and just react to them. It seems to be what his reaction was, well, this is the thing now, so we're going to do this and I have to do that. Not this person, despite my strenuous objection. I never really heard that. Uh, anyway, so yeah, it seems like he's definitely fine with it at some point, doesn't want all the heat for it. I mean, just from a human behavior standpoint,
And
uh,
it's
he's somebody who doesn't want to own it, but he's certainly not going to stop it.
right. And it's classic Schumer to say, we've got to give something to them. They're my friends. I work out with them in the Senate gym, so they're my pals and my buddies, and I can't
You
ignore
know,
them, and I have to do
that's
something.
politics. You
So
give some, you get some.
yeah,
Good old fashioned politics. It's not a good old fashioned politics anymore. It's something different.
right, right. That's the politics of the 1950s, and it's not what's happening now. But if you're only playing by the 1950 rules, it works. So it does
Right.
sound like Schumer thing to me. But
What do you
we'll
think? Do we need a new Schumer?
yes, in every way. I mean, not only as leader of the Senate and leader of the Democratic Party, but as a senator from New York. I think he should wind up getting a little bit of a rest, and we can
He's
do
earned
that.
it.
Exactly, exactly. I think he's
We've
really
earned
earned
it.
it, and so we'll see what happens. He's a couple of years off before his election as well, so we'll see what comes. But time and time again, I mean, just so many things are him soft. I mean, the whole thing with the reopening of government, and then what, like a week ago, he was making ads where he was saying, "There's no fucking way we're gonna close," that we're gonna skip out on this.
Right,
We are
coming on
doing
strong.
this. Literally, yeah. Oh, very, very strong, and the curse words and the whole thing. And he was, playing the tough guy role. And then this week, it's, oh, okay, yeah. Well, we'll give you the votes you need. I'm sure you'll come through with your promise, because if you promise something,
You
sure
can
we'll get a
take
vote
that
on
to the
the
bank, Matt.
ACA. Exactly.
We
And this is
promise we'll talk about a date to set a time to think about having a vote.
exactly. And that's another thing about the Durbin version is that Durbin is uh, doing this as a trap for the Republicans, because by not having the ACA subsidies as part of the reopen deal, things will run out for the ACA in January. So
Mhm.
then it will become urgent. And so they're saying
Yeah,
that
millions
he's
of
letting
people
it
will
go.
be undone.
Exactly. He'll let it go till then, and then he'll say, well, we're in a reopened government. It's the Republican government. So what you gonna do? And we'll see. So, I mean, that it is based on fact. The ACA is subsidies are going to get hiked in January. So, what happens then, and who has to fold before that happens? An answer is done. Or would Trump just be happy with that? I mean, it's possible that Thune and Trump and Johnson will all get together and say, you know what? Yeah, sure, hike them, hike the rates. What do we care? They don't care about much else, so why would they care about that?
Yeah, I don't feel like there's a best but practices here. And we just kind of have to flail in the direction we want to go. Um, as we discussed briefly earlier, the politics of old are gone, and it's hard to there is no perfect tool for this. So if you have to shut down the government with a big stupid club um, to get your point across, what else is left to us? None of the other rules are holding sway. They're destroying tradition and institution and outright law almost casually for frivolous things as well as tragic. So, yeah, I mean, shutting down the government does a ton of harm, but it seemed like it was, if it must, if we must tolerate it, it seemed like it was doing some good. Uh, and then we just threw it all away.
Exactly.
And I wonder
Especially with
what's gonna come of that. I feel like to me it ties into the fact that people just are overdue in their office and they've been in too long. And it's either the heavy hand of money or fear of getting, being dislodged from your seat for whatever. Anyway, self
that's
interest.
not gonna, yeah, that's not gonna be the thing because they're everybody's looking at the blue wave and they're saying what happened there and who got elected and who didn't and how did they do it and where's the openings. There are some people who are too focused on the one election that happened in their area, and they're trying to draw conclusions from that. And I think maybe they need to maybe open their eyes a little bit more. And it wasn't a wave just because one election went well. It was a wave because it happened all across the country. There were some really interesting defeats and some really interesting wins, defeats for the Republicans and wins for the Democrats. So maybe there's a larger picture to also consider.
Yeah, I mean, but that's part of the tragedy here is that we were, as we rarely
Right.
are, fairly ascendant. We were doing good, and somebody threw a bunch of gravel under our skateboard and screwed it all up. Uh, and we got nothing for it. I don't know how to
Well,
get past that. And I
yeah,
think I
well,
think leadership should change.
yeah. I certainly agree with you on the leadership issue, and at the same time, we'll see how much of this actually plays out the way they think it will, or if it is really a loss. The blue wave was such a tremendous boost, and I know that talking to people who are on the political front lines, if you will, where I am, I've heard both things. I mean, I've heard there were two people who were talking about getting more active, and then this happened, and they said, "Oh, I can't do that if that's going to be the way the Democratic Party acts." And then I've heard other people say, "Well, actually, this makes me more interested because I like the blue wave. I like that we won stuff, um, but this clearly shows that the establishment needs to be challenged." And the only way I can do that is by getting involved with democratic politics, not necessarily the national elections, but getting involved in the Democratic Party to see what we can do to change things uh, for the better. So,
Okay.
and that is an option. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It is a sacred civic tradition, and
and,
good on you for it. I don't know how you do it.
well, thank you. But speaking of options, I think that might bring us to our next issue.
Segue alert.
J, yeah, there you go. There's that was soft touch, huh?
That's right.
J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance. Apparently, he's let it be known that he hopes his wife will choose an option of another religion. He's hoping that she'll convert from Hinduism to Christianity, whichever flavor of Christianity he has. And that seems kind of wrong to me. I mean, you think it would come up in conversation when you were thinking about getting married. You might even
I
talk about
mean,
it if you were dating. I don't know.
mm, yeah. Uh, but you have to. I mean, isn't some religions they get pretty big on the proselytizing, and you know, think everybody should convert, and some of them make real practical efforts to see that done across the face of the earth.
Well, that's
And
true,
so,
but usually it doesn't take having a hot Christian wife, a widow, jump on your husband in public for him to mention it.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
was
mean,
gonna I was gonna bring up that mildly unseemly stage event where she was wearing skin tight leather across her butt, and they were a little touchy feely. I didn't watch the event, uh, but a little familiar.
but you saw the picture.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I saw a few pictures. I get the idea, I guess. So it was at that time, and there was so much movement in that area between the Erica Kirk and gee whiz, I wish she'd see my way of things. Um, that it almost seemed like there was a intention there or a shift in some sort of uh, PR or on a personal level too, something afoot, and maybe that's just people reading too much into it. That he's on stage, and yeah, he's a probably a what an evangelical to some degree. Uh, all these guys think they're Svengalis. They're gonna lead people to the some promised land, and you have to walk it like you know the way. You have to have that confidence. Like, yes, I am a leader, so therefore you should listen to me, and I'm gonna say stuff and act like it's really important that I said it. That's the game. So yeah, you can't just go. You can't wilt. You gotta. So yeah, you gotta be a hard charger and always recruiting. Coffee's for
Well, that's
closers, Matt.
that's true. Although we do have to say it is allegedly that these two things have some sort of connection, and
Sure,
causation is not always causation. So we
indeed.
should, for legal reasons, say that this is simply an allegation that we're talking.
Oh,
It's allegedly something that happened
legal
that has,
reasons, practical
yeah,
reasons. Like I said, people could be just reading too much into it. On the other hand, JD Vance has changed the spots a few times for different purposes and put different faces to the light. So it's fair to speculate, in my opinion.
that is that is true. There was a in another story. There was a thing about how they were comparing how long a lettuce would last as compared to what was going on in another news story. And
Hmm.
I don't know if that's something that we should consider as far as, will this lettuce last longer than this current name for the vice president? Is it going to be J.D. Vance in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 2 years? Who's to say?
Who's to say? Or he could have a new blonde wife and be JD Kirk. You go very, very futuristic with it. Take her name, flip the script on those haters. I don't know.
Allegedly.
Alleged,
Alleged. It could happen
indeed.
alleged.
In this, yes, theoretically, in this fever dream I am hosting in this current moment.
Yeah. Well, now moving on,
Yes, as
we
we
will
properly should.
bring on our first segment. If you've seen this before, if you've seen PolitiPod live before, you may know that we do have some segments that we drop in along with the issues that we talk about. The first one tonight being international news, and this is where we take a look at what's happening everywhere else in the world. We can start off with, of course, there's a big meeting going on, the COP30 summit, and it's in, is that Brazil that it's in?
Yes, I
Or,
think so.
yeah, I think so. And so everybody jumps onto planes and goes down to Brazil for a week or two to talk about what damages the environment. Okay. The U.S. this year, of course, with the current political situation in the U.S., of course, no one is representing the United States at the COP30 because we're not going to talk about something that is um, that it is felt on their behalf is a thing that doesn't exist and certainly doesn't need talking about. And there's nothing that we could do that could actually change the resources that the base that we use because they don't want to.
Right. What good could possibly come from that?
Yeah, exactly.
Awful.
Even if you don't believe in climate change, which actually has scientific evidence, blah blah blah. But even if you don't believe in it, what
Yeah.
exactly is wrong with changing from the thing that we know is a limited resource in oil and changing to things that we know? Well, I mean, technically, you could say the sun is going to run out of energy in about 5 billion years, so it's not exactly unlimited,
That's
but
right. You want to put in
certainly
that roofing insulation now. That's smart. That's the smart money.
it seems like it's going to be around a long time. It's
Absolutely.
certainly would outlast using something like oil, and even geothermal and wind, and there's a multitude of things that if we were to focus on them in a similar way that we focus on our government focuses on giving subsidies to oil based on the idea of, oh, it's the thing we're using now, so we should make certain that it's the thing we always use. That there could be, there's already been a lot of advances in the other forms of energy, and it can continue if we don't just flat out ignore it. So, what do you think about COP 30?
It reminds me of my junior college natural resources class, and I wasn't really hip to the comings and goings of nature and ecology and science and all the way these things intermingle and produce the conditions we have, and it realizing how finite or infinite different resources are um, in a meaningful way. When I took this class, it was revelatory and it changed the way I looked at the world and realized that environments, matter. It's where we live and it's where everything else lives. And the harm you can do when you don't give a good rat's ass about what happens, you're just unloading the trucks and you don't give a shit what happens, is can be devastating. And when you find out just what exists and what's at stake and what can be lost and how easily it can be prevented, it changes your. Anyway, I feel like these people. There are people who just never took that class, and they're just walking around dumb as they can be about it, uh, and haven't had that revelatory moment. And without it, it's fundamental, and you miss it when it's gone.
Well, and part of it is that their intention is not only just not knowing, but part of it is intentional, uh,
Well,
intentionally
if
not
there's good money in it,
doing.
absolutely, and you don't want to know. I'm not going to look into that shit. What's a spotted owl? I could give a good goddamn. I'm making,
Right.
40 million a year or whatever. Uh, like bring me an owl, I'll stomp it right in front of you.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, there's an incentive there not to want to know, uh,
Yeah.
and because you'll find the limits when you run into them legally or socially. Let that be the other guy's problem. We got a dollar to make. It's unfortunate. I don't like it, but nobody asked me.
Well, not yet. I mean, you could be next on the list. COP 30 could be visiting your place in a day or two. Sort of a road trip sort of thing. It could happen. Um, However, in the meantime, we can also look at international news for U.S. and China. Apparently, there's some sort of movement in relationships going on there, and the U.S. and China have paused reciprocal shipping fees, and the USTR, so United States Trade Representative, maybe representative. I'm not certain what the R stands for.
Absolutely.
Has suspended Section 301. So take that. they suspended your Section 301 probe for a year, and apparently, so there's something going on where things are easing up between the U.S. and China, which is probably a good thing. I mean, we certainly don't want to have somebody.
We got enough enemies as it is. We've certainly
Right.
cast away most of our friends.
Well, right, exactly. The only ones we do anything for are our enemies anymore. We certainly just try to screw our friends, but it seems allegedly. Um, but
Did I hear right? Speaking of our friends, not going so good. Didn't we stop getting didn't we stop getting intelligence from the United Kingdom because of the way we've been blowing Venezuelan fishermen out of the water? Have you heard that?
I have not heard that, but I believe it because I think that the UK takes a whole different it it tries it doesn't want to disagree with the US. And in fact, their
Sure,
whole gig is how can we kind of suck
but
up to the
we're
Americans.
slaughtering just random innocents, as far as I can tell, and we haven't got a shred of proof to even try to deny it. We haven't even made the effort to go tut tut. That's not true. They're just like, meh, coming through. Shut up,
Right,
big
right.
dog. Gotta eat.
Well, right, exactly. But I do think that the Brits have um, there are limits to that sort of blind loyalty sort of thing. And when you're blowing up people, whoever they are, you're not talking about an enemy combatant. You're talking about somebody who may be, they might have something to do with drugs, and that's certainly something you want to get law enforcement involved with. But blowing them out of the water with military equipment, I can see where somebody might say, "Hey, that's a bit much." We're your ally, but we got to do something. We got to say something. Um, so I have not heard about that story, but I'd certainly like to know more about it because I certainly believe it could be true. But this also brings up the fact that the U.S. military has blown up two more boats in the Pacific and
Mhm.
killing 6 people. The according to the Pentagon. So we're certainly not changing our mind quickly if the British are having a say at it. Um, and while we're over there in Europe, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away to France. And you may have heard that the former president was arrested and thrown in the clink. It looked like he was going there for 5 years. A fellow named Sarkozy. And oh,
I
hey,
heard of
look at
that guy.
that. Yeah, look at that. Just after 20 days, he's been released. So a
That's
5 year.
justice for you.
Yeah, there
Doesn't
you
everybody get out 3 weeks into their 5-year sentence?
go. Yeah, exactly. Uh, but it could just be a reprieve. Oh, although I did read in his argument that he wanted to thank the people who were, um, who the authorities in the prison that he was serving in, because he said they were very humane with him and very kind.
Huh.
So
This after all this pomp and circumstance of them dragging this guy somber looking off to jail, throwing him in the clink, all the cameras, all the headlines, to let him out. This is giving off vibes of this meeting could have been an email. They could have just handled this in court like the pampered, you know, aristocrat that he is, better than the rest of us, and just got it over with. But I guess they got to put on some theater.
well, and we'll see. Apparently, there is a situation where he could be sent back. He could be
I mean, he
recalled
could,
to
but
prison.
he's just that he's out in the first place is seems to be me to be out of order.
Gotcha.
They
Did you?
wouldn't let me out after 3 weeks.
Yeah, but what
For
were you in
Pete's
for?
sake, I mean, for half of that, he was misusing funds from Libya or something like that. Uh, I'm sure it wasn't a small amount. We're not talking a couple of dinners here. Yeah, yeah, I've had anyway.
Yeah, right. So yeah,
I
that is
just
the
want to make
charge
that
that he
point
was.
that a little preferential.
That's where he was sent to the clink because he had during his presidential campaign had accepted money from Muammar Gaddafi. If you want to name from the dim and distant past, if you're old enough, if you're joining us and you're old enough, you might recognize the name. Uh, and he stirred a lot of trouble up for a lot of people. And here he just gave money to Sarkozy, so he could have done a lot worse, I guess. Um, and there is um, also a story going on about in Pakistan. I don't know if you've heard about this, but the in the province of Karachi, there's a district court, and there was a suicide bomber who attacked the place, did his job, killed a couple of people, destroyed the building, and a faction of the Taliban are claiming responsibility. So now that that's happened inside the country, in the main city there, that there's been a lot of issues on military actions around the edges. Pakistan is at war with India. There's things going on with Afghanistan. So there's a lot of things on the perimeters, but now this is on the inside of the country. So the authorities are claiming that this shows with the war with Afghanistan is expanding, and so we'll see how everyone reacts to this. So back to good news. We'll go back to France. I tell you what, we'll head back
Let's
to
go.
Europe, and we can check in with the current president. That's Macron, and he says that France is going to help the Palestinians by helping them draw up a constitution that he feels that they'll be able to put together the all the parts of a genuine democracy, different branches of government, how they work together, etc. Um, and that he's doing that with Mahmoud Abbas. Now, Mahmoud Abbas is the president of the Palestinian Authority, and the PA is the governing body that is looking after the West Bank and the Palestinians in the West Bank. That is different than Hamas, who is in control over Gaza, uh, and the two of them don't get along. So there's a reason why the PA is all over in the West Bank, and that Hamas is and its followers are all over in Gaza. So there's a question of who is this constitution helping? Is it helping just the Palestinians on the West Bank, or is it supposed to try to bring the two sides together somehow? And if that's not the case, if it's not bringing everyone together, then it is all it. The only thing it does is help give legitimacy to the Palestinian Authority, and doesn't do anything with Hamas. And for those, that so they have technically they have some democracy there. I mean, Hamas was elected as the governing body for Gaza, and the Palestinian Authority was uh, elected to represent the Palestinians in the West Bank. So, how does that add into whatever it is that France wants to help do? And frankly, who by the count of who's prime minister, what week is it in France, and how is the democracy going there?
I haven't heard anything in a while. It must be going okay. They last I heard, they had reelected some guy that they had just fired. Gave him another try. I haven't seen any headlines since then.
I'm afraid I have not either, and that guy was not only reinstated as prime minister, but apparently the left was saying, "Oh yeah, you want to
Hmm.
reinstate him? Watch my wine." And we'll
hold,
see
hold
where
my
this
hold
goes.
my vin.
Yeah. So we should probably check in on what's the state of democracy in France itself. Um, Speaking of Gaza, apparently the latest is that Gaza has been split basically 50-50. I think it's something like officially it's 53% is in Israeli control and the balance is in Hamas control.
Hmm.
Um, but the Europeans who were the most willing to have conflicting opinions with Israel and tell them about it. It's the as far as reconstruction goes, all the European companies want to build in the Israeli section, the part that the Israelis are in, and not do projects in the half that's Hamas controlled. So I'm not certain how
For
that
some
works out
reason,
or what brought that about, or I don't
I
know.
can't imagine.
Um, but there is a thing that's a combination of a British think tank and part of the Bahrain government. It's called the Manama Security Conference. This year is the 21st uh, annual meeting, and they are part of the issues are looking at Palestine and trying to figure out from a security perspective what needs to happen and what can be done. And perhaps unfortunately, the Palestinian BDS movement, the Boycott, Diverse, and Sanctions movement, is calling for Israel to be removed from the conference, which might make it more difficult to come to a solution that involves people who are not allowed to participate in the discussion. But according to a Jordanian representative who is a part of the proceedings, he says about construction or reconstruction, he says, we all want to make it work. The question is, how do we work it out? Which I think is a fair question for him to ask. Anything on that or anything else you're thinking of?
Uh, you know, no, but I do see this very funny punchline that one of my colleagues wrote. So for the time being, it's mana mana.
But
That's I mean, somebody had to say it. I'm surprised you didn't pull that out proudly.
you'll see that
So,
on
well done
PolitiPod.
there. I like what you did there.
Or I should say, you'll hear it. You'll hear it on the political humor podcast, PolitiPod. Believe me, maybe twice.
That humor podcast called PolitiPod.
Yes,
I'll look
that's
forward
what
to
it's called.
that.
Yeah, on SoundCloud.com/PolitiPod is where you would find PolitiPod, that political
There
humor
you go.
podcast. But there was one other. You were talking about Venezuela for a few minutes, and you mentioned that some things that are going on. What I have heard is that there's been a call across Venezuela to make to gather together troops and have a massive deployment. So all these bombs going off near their country seems to have gotten a response. And the response is that we're going to be ready if there's bombs from the U.S. Then we're going to get ready militarily. And when has that ever gone wrong?
That's probably fine the way it's going.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's terrifying. Well, we're just gonna start bombing Venezuela. I mean, is that what we're doing now? I don't.
All it
Usually, listen. I grew up in the Bush years. I want to be sold. I want to see some propaganda. You know, get me aroused. Get me all hot and bothered about it. You know,
Sure, you say that after Dick Cheney dies.
these these kids today, they don't know how to coax an electorate into war. They just go, look, war, go ahead, duh. You know, they, this is the anyway. I'll stop with that analogy,
Fair
before I
enough. We,
go
we-
any further awry.
we'll
But
move
yeah, I
over.
mean,
Hmm,
it's just, hey, it's Wednesday. Guess what? We're bombing Venezuela again. Still, I don't know. I don't. This can't be good.
I'll let- right.
Somebody's gonna get in trouble. You're gonna go to jail. This can't be good in the long run. It's not good morally, not good legally, not good financially. It's just not good. It's
Right.
the dumbest thing we could possibly do.
And bombing all those boats, sooner or later, somebody's gonna, be a mile over and release the bombs, and it's gonna hit land, and it's gonna be, that's the kind of thing that would escalate it into a
Right?
bigger problem. But that's, way apparently they're willing to risk it. Someone is. Okay, well,
Yeah.
speaking of
Anyway, World War III aside,
yeah, yeah, setting World War
Pete's
III
sake.
let's bring it to a much less contentious issue, and that would be the Supreme Court.
Yes, let's do that.
On to the other issues, and so apparently the SCOTUS has decided that it will look into the issue about mail-in ballots, the legitimacy of mail-in ballots. So we have a decision from them coming up on that. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's something that's been done for a long time, but for this Supreme Court, 50 years of precedent, what's it mean? What's it really worth? So we'll see. They'll make a decision soon.
I mean,
But
precedent really holds sway with the Supreme Court in recent times. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
exactly, exactly. You can ask Roe and Wade and see what kind of response you get.
That's right.
Um, However, it is fair to note that the Supreme Court did reject the attacks on the precedent they set for having same-sex marriage.
Yeah, they had a chance to really screw that up, and they left it alone. How about that? Found a good time to shut up.
There you go.
I
Nice.
applaud you. I drink to you tonight. Water.
There you go. Pour a little bit out for your William O. Douglas.
Thank God for not destroying something you got your hands on.
Yeah, there you go. um, and it's not quite concrete, but several of the justices and several of the Trump justices seem to be picky about the administration's defense.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
Now a little skeptical.
if finally something they can be skeptical about.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, is the spell breaking? What is going on in this reality?
Exactly, and this is over tariffs, the so-called Liberation Day tariffs. It could be that there'll be 8 votes against the Liberation Day tariffs, and it would be a big rejection of one of Trump's current favorite things. So I don't know, get a rattle or something, maybe some keys. You want to distract him before he gets to the catch-up about this, because if it is 8 votes or even a couple of less against him, that would be a news story. That would be something to say.
Can you imagine if they demanded that we unfold, 10 months of tariffs? Can
Yeah, how do
you
you do that?
imagine the chaos? I can't. I cannot. It would devastate the government, wouldn't it? That's been his big income he's been flogging. Like I shouldn't put any stock in anything he says, but it's a lot of money. It's a little bit from everybody. Yeah, I cannot imagine how devastating that would be to him politically and us financially. What a tsunami on the horizon.
Well, it would also be what they say. I mean, a lot of court cases, they say stuff is not retroactive, so we'll stop it, but you're
Mm.
sh- you're s out of luck for you're shit out of luck
Oh,
for
there won't be any
whatever's
clawback of any
happened
kind?
up to. Yeah, you're not going to be able to
Oh, okay.
undo
I can
everything.
talk myself into a lot of things, and I figured maybe there would be, some retribution or something.
Well,
Then
but
again,
right, I don't know the actual case, so I don't know if that is. They tend to not want things to be to be retroactive, but that doesn't
I
mean that
mean,
they're not saying it.
doesn't
Although
mean you can't
having
sue.
although having a couple of conservatives on board, you'd probably think that it was not retroactive because that's the sort of thing that they would find that they might have a problem with. I mean, I think the best part of it is
Mhm.
that the decision could come by Christmas. So it would be a wonderful little Christmas present for somebody, and maybe
Wouldn't it?
a lump of coal, tariff free, sitting on somebody else's desk.
Yes, absolutely. Tariffs, yeah. From your lips to God's ears. May it be so. Because it's what a stupid, unnecessary additional cost to everything. It's like a tip. It's for the government on everything, uh, for no good reason, no good purpose, just because I can. And so we did, and it can't go away fast enough. And yeah, you're right. That would be a good. That would be a wonderful and satisfying viscerally, as petty and a bitch as I am. Uh, I would
It's
be very happy to see that guys that policy smacked down. So
well
it's a bastardized, misbegotten policy, and it never should have reared its ugly head.
coming to you this Christmas. We'll see if it's we'll see if it play how it plays out. This is only pundits saying it could be as many as eight, so we'll see what actually happens.
Right.
But hang on in there. Look for stories about SCOTUS come December. Um, Something else that you might want to look out for is South Park, and you may have seen that there's been a turn in their um, humor towards maybe I guess you could say poking fun at MAGA.
Oh, you could say
Could say turned
hooking
anti-MAGA.
right, right in the soft tissue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if you haven't seen South Park or haven't seen it in a long time, they have the Trump character dating Satan, and
And they're doing it.
and loving it. And so, when asked about it, apparently they're what the creators are saying. Trey Parker and Matt. Ooh, I forget Matt's last name. Um, Apparently, what they're saying that politics have become pop culture, and that's
Matt
something.
Stone.
Matt Stone, thank you. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and it became pop culture in part because that was the strategy of the Republican Party for the past 40 years. Whereas they couldn't win based on issues and they knew it, they became culture warriors and they decided to take things on that were not laws or not particularly legal matters and making the best, using it as the best way to undermine those who were in charge, the Democrats, and the Democrats didn't know how to handle it when it was first turned on them, so they kind of botched it, and the Republicans have
Really? The
tended to.
Democrats? Those smooth guys? No, I don't believe it, sir.
Yeah, there was actually in the if Newt Gingrich used to when he first came to power in the Congress. Part of how he helped flip the Congress to make it Republican was that he was the one going out and recruiting candidates, and then he'd train them, and he used to send them cassettes with strategy so they could listen to it and learn what to do, from him himself.
Yeah.
and so they were saying things like a that you should always attack the Democrat's strength. If the Democrat is an ingrained incumbent, you want to attack them, but you want to attack them on their strength because then they won't know what to do because they see that as the positive that they're offering. So if you attack them on that, it undermines their main argument, and they won't know how they. And at the same time, they won't know how to respond, so they'll look weak. Blah blah blah. So this
Gotcha.
kind of a more aggressive politics and shifting it towards things that are not policy. And so now, a couple of decades later, here we are. South Park is picking up the cultural banner and giving a snootful back to Trump and his um, colleagues,
His
cohorts,
ilk.
ilk. um, yeah, the Pam Bondi character they have constantly ends up with shit on her nose. She disappears for a second behind Trump, and then she pops up, and they're like, the other characters are
Wow.
always like, "Hey, there's a little, there's
Nah,
something on your nose." Yeah, there's shit on your nose. You better wipe that off. And she goes,
yeah, I
"Oh
saw
yeah,
clips
right."
out of that. They're
Wipes it up.
keeping it classy.
Yeah, exactly. And about 15 seconds later, it's back. So it's not just him, and they're sort of taking on that sort of whole conservative um, populist movement. Good for them, frankly. I mean, I'm glad somebody's saying something. Um, Makes me laugh. Anything else
Yeah,
about that?
I have the only one I've seen is the season premiere of South Park, but I haven't caught up with them in a while, and it's they're staying true to form. They've got a very skewed but still sharp uh, eye for what is what is happening and how to say it, and some of it's hilarious and undeniable talent, and some of it's kind of gross, and I can't quite ever commit, but you got to respect the game.
Right. They're certainly testing what the boundaries are, as well as keeping it funny. Hmm. So that brings us to our next segment. If you recall the intro, you'll know we have a second segment, and in this case, it's fascism creeps. So we'll take a look at some of the ways that fascism is creeping into America, or perhaps it's just the fascists who are creeps. Looking at issues first, like Trump apparently has pardoned a bunch of people, and this is something we'll look at in just a minute in more detail. But he's apparently done things for both Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, and America's drunk uncle on Christmas, and Powell. And so these are he's giving pardons out like water, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. Go into a lot more detail. But he also has slammed the air traffic controllers who had called out during the government shutdown and ordered them back to work. So I guess he's a tough guy. Um, what else? He's been well. He's his. Oh right. So the judges have come out and said that there was a judge who had come out and said with the SNAP benefits being stopped, that the partial restart was required by law. And then there's been a next step to that where they've said the full benefits have to be restored, and snap to it. But of course, snap to it.
I
But
see what you did there.
uh, um, but apparently he's of course objecting to that, and we'll see if he can get away with undermining that decision, or at least delaying it. We'll see what happens. In particular, anything from you on either the air traffic controllers or the snap resnap?
What the hell is he trying to do? As I understand it, and I'm no expert, but as a layman, as I understand it, air traffic controllers are pretty thin on the ground as it is. We don't have enough of them. And to go and just shake their tree and try to wreck what you can and then just leave it alone at best and stop doing active harm to a system, again, not as robust as it should be in the first place, a mission critical system where you really can't have stuff go wrong, Matt. You can't. It's not Dairy Queen where, oops, I put too much chocolate, too many sprinkles. Darn it. This is, life and death. And I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish. I've mentioned a couple of times that this administration was born in fire of two airborne vehicles colliding with each other. Basically, as soon as they took over the reins, they've got a lot to live up to. I like to air travel once in a while. I feel personally invested in this country having safe. Anyway, it's a bunch of chicanery, and I have no patience for it.
It's there, and it's perhaps he thinks he's doing something that makes him look tough, but picking on a bunch of people who are already not getting paid to do incredibly strenuous work doesn't seem like a smart move. But we'll see if it plays out for him. Maybe it will be a big. I don't know. I don't think it'll work.
I saw you
Also,
trying to walk that all the way across the finish line. You couldn't. I get it.
I wouldn't
You're
wouldn't
just
get
a man. You're just one man.
just innocent men. Um, Also in Trump news, there's been a lot about tariffs and people opposing tariffs and people judges ruling against tariffs, and so apparently Trump reached his limit on this as well, and without any catch up around, he just decided to start name calling, and apparently he called the opponents to tariffs fools. They're fools, by God, and claims that there'll be a dividend from tariffs of $2,000 a person, not including high income people, but it will be paid to everyone. And this magic $2,000 that has been, I mean, every time I hear something from him from numbers now, all I think about is that Dr. Oz announcement about how America by the next
We're gonna lose £1.5 billion, something like that.
right, 135 billion pounds by next midterms, which is actually pretty interesting to pick
Is
such a
Trump
particular endpoint.
supposed to be a politician and a leader, or sort of a jazz uh, nonfiction writer? Who does it on the fly, and he just because nobody believes anything he says. What are you talking about? Hey, everybody's gonna get a $2,000 check, and then just like gone. Never gonna happen. Why do we even tolerate this? It's just
Well, and we're probably
ridiculous
losing
on its face.
right, and we're probably losing probably 8 or 9,000 due to the
I
tariffs in the
mean,
first place. So this 2,000 is supposed to be, I guess, attractive to the poor people
Matt,
or
with
something.
these tariffs and all this stuff, all the destruction and hey going on, that's just the magician's distraction and sleight of hand. You know who's getting that $2,000 per person? His rich friends. That 2,000 is already gone. It's all being funneled to his new oligarchs. We're not getting that money. For him to say
Right?
that is just mocking us from on high.
He
You
says
want
it's
it?
for everyone.
Get it. You want it? Jump for it. Dance for me.
It's so washed out by the expenses and the increases and everything else because of the tariffs that it doesn't It's
He
only a
won't pay
number that
the poor to eat. He won't give them $150 a month. He's not going to give you $2,000, you dumb sons of bitches. For God's sake.
allegedly.
Hey, that's the call I'm making. I could be wrong. Prove me wrong, Trumpy. Give us
There you
all thousands and thousands of dollars. Just give it back to us. You went through all the trouble of extracting it from us. Sure, he's going to give it right back. He's
Can we get
ask anybody. He's a solid dude.
can we get a banner reading "Change my mind"?
Oh
Maybe
my
next time.
goodness.
Maybe next time. So moving on. Yeah, since we are talking about that particular fella there, um, you may have seen the pictures of him at a football game recently, a Washington Commanders game. They're
Yeah.
still currently the Commanders, although he has ordered them to change their name back to Redskins. But they're still the Commanders at the time being. And when he
The Redskins, for
decided
Pete's
to
sake.
yeah, when he decided to show up at a game, apparently there were plenty of. You can watch the videos. You'll hear plenty of people booing, and so there's yet another video of people showing that, and people that you wouldn't necessarily think would be against him. I mean, people who very well could be in that sort of conservative, right wing sort of. Certainly, the way they pick their football teams could
Right.
be said to be could possibly be to the right, and yet here he is showing up and getting really uh, just booed mercilessly.
Booed into his shoes. Yes.
Uh, there's the new big deal about him proposing a 50-year mortgage. So 30-year mortgage is not good enough. It needs to be sort of spread out a little bit more, and that way it's really going to help. And
Absolutely.
absolutely, and the way it will help is that instead of paying $2,300 or $2,400 a month, you'll pay $2,100, but you get to pay it for an extra 20 years worth of months. So, in fact, it actually winds up being double. Instead of 400,000 something, it's you wind up the total price paying out 800,000 for the same property. So that's a pretty good deal, doubling your cost. Isn't that fair? Isn't that the American way?
You know, we're going to keep going in this direction until it's stopped. It's not going to stop itself. And they're going to go to 60-year mortgages. You're going to be able to, seriously, you're going to be able to saddle your children with it. That's where they'll go. Pretty
Mm.
soon, you're just going to lay in a pod like the Matrix and just generate money, generate clicks, generate some good that we can extract from you. We're not asking you for it anymore. It used to be you would have a good product, you know, or you do a good job and you depend on that to carry you through. Now, we're just what are you gonna a 50-year mortgage? Average age of getting a mortgage right now, I read was like 38. You're not gonna, you're never gonna own that place. You're never. I read in a enlightening opinion piece today about how uh, as you hit your 60s, you have this nest egg, or maybe you've remortgaged it or something like that. But ideally, you have this nest egg, you have this resource that you've paid into, and then it's yours, and it gives you this certain power in your life at a time when maybe you kind of need the security. Not anymore, Buster. You're going to have to pay that stupid dividend until the day they put you in the cold, cold ground. And I don't like it. No, it's
Until the
this
day,
this is out of control. You can't afford anything anymore.
yeah, until the day your grandchild gets put into the ground. It's got nothing to do with you, pal. It's going to
Yeah,
be somebody else's problem, and yet, I mean, it will help make a real estate person very, very wealthy. They need that third house. They need that third yacht. I mean, how are you going to stand in the way of that?
It's only 45 foot, Matt. You can't even. I'd be embarrassed to be seen on a 45 footer. Understood? Uh,
Why you 45-foot god? Yeah.
hand me my monocle. So yeah, it's out of control. It's out of control. We need a reset. We're not going to get it for a while, but maybe.
Excellent point. Certainly agree with you. Um, and even more about this guy. We've got news. Of course, you may have seen all of the a large number of Republicans seem to. Or there's a number of Republicans who seem to be turning on him already. That sort of maybe it's the lame duck thing sinking in. Maybe there's some honesty that's coming about. I doubt that, but there are a number of them that are saying things not in line with His Highness's
His
whatever it
wishes,
is,
yeah.
yeah, whatever's behind him. And apparently, he's openly attacked Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying that something's the matter with her. Is that's his big insult initially? Is
Right.
what happened to them? And so
Well,
he's
she's been
doing that.
kicking the hornet's nest for several days, if not a few weeks now, hasn't she?
Absolutely,
I
absolutely,
think she
and
needs some attention, and she's getting it.
perhaps it's attention. And but she has threatened to call Johnson on the carpet and get the Senate or the Speaker recall or whatever the thing is that they do.
Oh, really?
Uh,
I hadn't heard
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. It's at least it was alleged that she was doing that behind the back, and she has publicly been talking about how unhappy she is with the Republicans and how unpopular she feels the decisions of the Republican men are making, and she's been very clear about that. And yet, Trump has also apparently called in a couple of other Republican women, Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert, have both been called into the White House for spankings. I mean, maybe just verbal,
Who's your
maybe
source
just
on that one, Matt?
allegedly, verbal spanking, maybe. But
Oh, tongue lashing, maybe. That's what we say in America.
you got to hand it to Boebert. Um, the thing is, they are two of the people who have been agreeing with the Democrats on releasing the unredacted Epstein list,
Yes.
Epstein files, and he called them in today to talk to them about it. We don't, I don't know at least what was said in that meeting. I heard that it was happening, and I assume it might be a little while before we get any sort of details. But look out for stories on that because that's some really interesting stuff. Somebody who is so diehard a MAGA et that didn't seem anything could shake that, and yet here's the thing that seems to be doing it. So
Well,
and go ahead.
well, I was just going to point out how gung ho anti-child molester these people are. It becomes a huge oversized person part of their personality that they just, oh boy, they just love killing chomos. I mean, uh so and I can't imagine I excuse me, I can imagine that that's a big enough part of her personality that if it's coming out that undeniably that Trump is that kind of scumbag, maybe she's getting herself a little room, a little insulation, a little breathing room between her and the detonating politician. And we kind of keep glancing about around this. I want to ask you your opinion. Uh, is it finally? Do you think it's finally starting to crack? Do you think maybe we're starting to see the beginning of the end of the Wicked Witch of the West? I know it's premature, but it's tantalizing, and I can scarcely help myself to just to dream the impossible dream that maybe it's starting to burn up on reentry. Maybe.
Yeah, I think the Epstein list was the real. So for a very long time, I used to go on Matt Connerton's show, the guy who helped us get onto Restream here, and
Yes.
I used to go on his radio show and say The thing with Trump is it's not until his base decides they don't like him that anything's going to happen. As long as he has his base, he's safe because everybody's scared of him because he says, go do this or go do that. And they do it and they don't question it. They don't worry about,
Yeah.
they don't worry about what happens. They don't worry about repercussions. They only care that they are doing the thing that he tells them to do. So until that breaks, he's going to be able to do his thing. But apparently, and this is where maybe I didn't read the tea leaves correctly. The whole Epstein list, when it didn't come out, and when he started playing little games about not releasing it, and then all of that, that really got under the MAGA folks' skin because they were
Right.
so the true
Invested.
believer. Yeah, the true believer in them was really shook.
And I can see how tantalizing that is, not only because the way they love to harp on that so vociferously, there's judgment there. You get to look down on other people and really condemn. Ooh, they deserve to die. Uh, but there was another point to it, and that is they wanted the satisfaction of seeing the powerful people brought to their knees, and he's like, psych, made you look. And so that's a powerful thing to, with multiple forces there at play. He really screwed up. And then his whole lame fourth grade, gee whiz, are you guys still talking about Epstein? Oh my god, are you kidding? I mean, his people should be insulted that he thought for a second that he could trot that out, and they would just go, "Duh. Yeah, what are we talking about, fellas? We're being dumb. We're a couple of squares." It's just anyway. But he
It
tried
worked
it.
for him before.
Sometimes you gotta just. Can you imagine being married to this person? He just come in and give you some bald face bullshit like that, and just challenge you to deal with it.
Yeah,
Hell no, buddy.
with gaslighting of it all. Yeah, absolutely true. So I think what you're seeing is the Republicans are are starting to break with him because they see that that's going to be released. They see that it's him. They know that he's in it. He knows he's in it, but he's willing to try to play that little silly game of gaslighting. But they're all saying, no, this guy is. It's not like once or twice. Oh, it was a typo. This
Right,
is
right. He's
18,
not in
20,
it.
50
He's
times.
in it.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Exactly.
like
Exactly.
hard
He's
eye
all over that.
contact. You won't even believe. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see this is going to be bad. It's going to be photos. It's going to be gross. It's going to be. I mean, it's got to be. I don't
All
know.
that all that matters is that his name is there. I mean, he's objected to it and he's vilified it so much that now when his name comes out as being in there, that's his base saying,
I feel like he could get
you
away with that. If I was on the plane, I ate some. No, I listen. We're halfway there. Does you think anybody really questions? You know, he's in 100,000 already videos with uh already known public domain videos of him and Epstein just coking it up at some cabana somewhere and just being 80s weird. And nobody thinks I don't think anybody thinks he's innocent, but we don't have the goods. We can't prove it. So and that's part of his charm. He's like, I'm a scumbag, but you don't have the goods. And we're pretty soon we're gonna have the goods, and it's gonna be too young a lady and too old a man, and him being the absolute disgusting pig that we all know him to be, and that he barely hides in public. You know what he's got to have been like in private when he's juiced up on Adderall or whatever stimulant that makes him act so eye-poppingly weird. And when he's behind closed doors and really letting it all hang out with his scumbag friends, and they're all committing a crime all together, how intoxicating that must be for him. Yeah, he's definitely up to his ass in it, and I have to believe it's going to be bad, and it's more than just a few names on a hotel registration or something.
well, no, yeah, you're right. It won't be that, but it will be descriptions and it will be his name, and it will show that he was there, and all this denial stuff that he gets away with just by talking about it, and there not being any proof. When it's shown to be unredacted in his name and all the testimonies and all the da, 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 da,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going
What
to
if
find
it's
pictures.
what if
I
it's
don't
a
think you're going to get.
16-year-old girl who says boo hoo hoo? He hurt me this way and that. Boo hoo hoo. I mean, I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying, what if it's tortured emotional testimony with his name in it? That's a whole nother level.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
gonna anyway. That's
That'll do it. Yeah, that will do it if it's
wildly
testimony
impactful.
and if it's something that is real. Absolutely, I think that's absolutely true, and I think that that's the Republicans have seen it, so they know what's there, and that's why they're sort of trying to distance themselves now, because they know when it does come out, whatever it is, they know that when it comes out, he's just going to be he's not he's not going to be able to worm his way out of this, mostly because of all that release, release, release. No, no, no,
Right,
don't. This didn't exist. It doesn't even matter. It's
right.
nothing.
These
And
are
then
not the
it's gonna
droids they're looking for. What kind of
exactly. He's not going to be able to get away with that this time. Um, but that is even before the 2026 elections. So that lame duck element hasn't hit either, necessarily, unless they're saying that this was what will cause him to have to leave, and they're getting in their lame duck hatred early so that they don't miss out on it.
get ahead of the rush? Yeah, Christmas is coming.
Exactly. Um, and one other thing I'll mention about him, then we'll move on, which is Trump has been railing against the mayor-elect of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, and saying he's Muslim and he's this and he's that and how horrible and blah blah blah. And look at what happened just the other day here. He rolled out the red carpet for the current president of Syria, who actually is a terrorist, and and a man who has in the past been aligned with groups that we know are terrorists. Now he's the legitimate president of Syria. He got there legitimately with military force, and attacking and wiping out who he needed to take out. And
That's right.
that's a legitimate
Legitimately
way to
murdering
become.
everybody in his path.
That's how that's a
Right.
power thing. That's how it's done. And so
Still,
he's giving the
it
red.
does add a nice zing to the word legitimately.
But he's rolling out the red carpet for this guy. He wants to talk to him directly. Trump is also the one who did negotiate directly with the Taliban terrorists, and made the withdrawal, set up the withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan itself. He didn't talk to our allies there. Once again, he went to the enemy directly and negotiated with the enemy directly, and screwed the living hell out of our allies, and all those who were helping us while we were there, uh, just to boot, which is a thing that
The art of
he's
the deal is still for sale at a bookseller near you, I'm sure.
yeah. So anyway, that's why we can't have nice things. To the next issue. This is the just creeps section. I don't know. Have you noticed anything about Putin lately, Tom?
I saw I saw some coverage and a photo where he's not looking so good. And it's not the first time his health has been questioned. People are saying his hands looked claw-like, and so you know, you just wish that guy the best, I guess.
Is money on that he's returning to his natural form, or is it illness, or
I didn't see
alleged?
any scales, but could be.
See, all right. Well, maybe he's been shaking Trump's hand, and that explains
Or
some
is it?
things about Trump. So, apparently something's going on there. We don't know what it is. We're not going to
Take
find
it
out.
easy.
They're not going to tell us.
We don't know who our viewership is. We could be big in Moscow by now. We don't know. I'm
Sure,
sorry. I'm
sure, I'm
kidding.
sure.
Right. I'm kidding. Please go ahead.
The greater Moscow area. Um, but so yeah, I mean, it will be interesting if we can get some actual information on that. You're talking about a guy who takes an extra suitcase for his waste
His
product
defecate.
when
That's right. His
he
pee-pees
goes
and
to other
poo-poos.
countries to make certain that they can't sift through his manure.
His loaves. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll
That's
never know the truth.
that's hardcore.
Yeah, yeah, it's too true. Speaking of such creeps, Giuliani, I mentioned earlier, America's mayor, and uncle who's a sex pest. Uh, he's been pardoned by Trump, saying now Giuliani is saying that the pardon itself is an exoneration. He never did anything wrong, and in fact, he now wants to have his law license returned to him because he's so innocent.
Yeah, that guy drinks the good stuff. He that's very imaginative.
Mm.
It's
Um,
really exoneration. Are you kidding me? We can see you. You know, this is like a person who thinks they're invisible because they're that drunk. We can see you. Hi there. Get out of the store window. It's not funny. He's out of his mind. Anyway,
no, too true.
dismiss.
And support, yeah, right. And in support of his corruption, Trump's corruption, and the form of a faucet starting with the pardons continuing. There's about, well, it's actually, I guess, about 2,500 pardons he's granted. So it's somewhere up there in the thousands already. Which presidents do that, get up to the thousands in their pardons. He's not topping anyone's list on that yet. But
Oh,
if you
I've got
have,
tons of lists.
you do have to. If you get a pardon, part of the pardon is that you accept guilt for what you did.
Okay. Right.
So the
I
little
am reminded.
twist, yeah, the twist is you don't have to go to jail, but you do have to accept the responsibility for the crime that you were charged with, which is sometimes why people reject having a pardon from a president because they say, "Nope, I wasn't really actually guilty at all." But there's the group of 2,500 January Sixers, the terrorists who attacked the Capitol, and he pardoned them. More recently, of course, George Soros, who was convicted of wire fraud and identity theft. That Binance founder, the coin, what is it? The Bitcoin or whatever that coin is, Zhao, for money laundering, and he got a pardon. And Aman Zoumniri, actually interesting that he's been pardoned twice by Trump. He was given a pardon a couple of months ago. The first time, I believe it was for violation of the Foreign Agent Registration Act. And then there was some stuff with tax evasion and some illegal campaign contributions, all the better things. And then he was granted a second pardon just recently as well. So I guess have to clean up some other stuff. Robert Henry Harbinger Jr. is a Tennessee U.S. House member, and was uh, he was prosecuted for mishandling drugs for sale across interstate across state lines. So federal crime, Harshbarger, and hey, pardoned. There you go. Have a nice day. Tennessee's apparently Tennessee's apparently a pretty popular state for these sort of things because there's Cade Corinth and Cabe's boss there, Glenn Casada. Both of them involved with defrauding the U.S. using fictional names to set up unlawful businesses, money laundering, all sorts of little things, all the better things. And both of them were convicted around the same time and pardoned just the other day. And then, there's a there's a New York City police officer, Michael Mahan, and he was
McMahon.
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 Yeah, there you go. That guy, the former New York City cop who was running around and helping the Chinese government track down Chinese citizens in New York.
Wow. Wow.
Convicted of stalking the Chinese on behalf of the Chinese government.
We
And,
we cut that guy a break.
yeah, it was probably part of the deal to reduce the fees in the USTR Section 301
That's right. That's right.
advancement. Probably,
You gotta read the fine print, Matt. I always say it.
allegedly, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Thank you. Yes, allegedly. So these are the fine sort of folks that Trump helps to get out with pardons, and will continue to do so. Now we should talk about the newest member of the Congress, and please help me with the last name,
Grijalva.
Grijalva, and Alida Grijalva was finally sworn in to represent her section of Arizona. She did make certain to give a snootful to Johnson when she was sworn in, letting him know exactly what she thought about his delaying her installment. And in part, it was delayed because allegedly, it was delayed because her being in the House, if they take a vote on releasing the unredacted Epstein list, gives 218 votes, meaning the majority of Congress, and thus passing passing the allowance to release the unredacted documents. So that's very scary. And in response to that, we mentioned earlier in the show, a number of Republicans have started to bail on Trump and start talking about how, yeah, this is a thing we're going to do. And so maybe it will be even over 218 votes to release it. And what will that do? We'll have to hopefully find out sooner than later. There's talk that it'll be within a week. So we'll see. We'll continue our count up until it actually happens. But it could be as soon as a week that the unredacted version of the Epstein files are released. Do you remember his pal there, Giselle Maxwell?
Jelaine, yeah. Yeah, I remember her.
Jane, pardon me. She testified that Epstein and Trump were not close friends,
Hmm.
and yet, on top of all this talk about releasing the files, apparently, and the media has gotten a hold of information, including an article from PBS by Liz Landers this morning, that has several emails sent by Epstein, which show some sort of personal familiarity between Epstein and Trump, and allegedly, and you can read it for yourself and let us know what you think at politipod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to look at those stories and see those emails for yourself, where Epstein is talking about how very familiar and close he is with Trump, although that would, counter what Maxwell has said recently, to move herself out of a maximum security prison into a minimum security prison. So I'm sure there is no gain on her part by saying that. So we have to find out what the problem is here. Why are there different accounts? Why is she saying they're not close, and yet these emails appear to show that they have had that Epstein and Trump have quite a relationship, and quite familiar with each other. Anyway, speaking about Epstein and speaking about the unredacted version of the Epstein files, we're continuing our count up as I promised just minutes ago. And that is how many days since the unredacted Epstein's list has not been released? So far, that's 3,802. Will it make it to 3,809? That's what everyone is talking about, and we'll have to see. You'll have to see by joining us next week for PolitiPod Live. Thank you for joining us for PolitiPod Live for political talk, and you're welcome to join us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here for more PolitiPod Live. If you want some political laughs, you can join us and a half dozen of our friends for our monthly political comedy podcast, PolitiPod, which you'll find at soundcloud.com/PolitiPod. This is Matt Nisanoff
And I'm Tom Pickle.
saying goodnight.